Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to Vogan's European Outlook for Thursday, the 22nd of September. I say good afternoon, it's actually now into the evening time, of course. I hope everybody is well today. We do have, of course, cooler weather on the cards for the British Isles over the next several days. High pressure will build in for a period of time. We've got a frontal system moving south through the course of this evening, heading into the southern portions of the country. So we've got some showers or longer spells of rain associated with that front. That frontal system will kind of stall slightly across the south through this evening and into tomorrow morning. Large area of high pressure, as you can see here, over the North Atlantic. And we've got a feature here to the southern on the southern flank of that high. As you can see, that kind of bobs around over the next few days. But of course, we've got Category 4 Hurricane Fiona, in Bermuda. It won't make a direct landfall, but it will have significant impacts on storm surge, hurricane force winds, and flood and rainfall, of course, with likely power outages, possible damage, or likely damage in parts of the islands. And then, of course, it heads up towards Nova Scotia, where it's going to be very interesting to see how much intensity this Hurricane Fiona has on Nova Scotia and possibly Newfoundland as well. But as I've highlighted on this channel for several days now, that system will transport a tremendous amount of tropical warmth up into the mid and even high latitudes, and in turn, downstream of that, we will see a secondary, even a third wave of Arctic air into the UK weather pattern here. It looks as if during the early and middle half of next week, some parts of the north may struggle to get into double figures, should I say, sorry, and overnight temperatures could go below freezing away from particularly towns and cities. So frost is likely. We're likely to see sub 10 degrees Celsius days. We're likely to see snow over the tops of the Cairngorms, the Grampians, for example, Northwest Highlands, possibly the North Pennines, Cumbrian Fells, but we'll just see how cold the air mass is as it sinks southwards. But as you can see here, we'll play through the loop. That area of high pressure very much dominant across the North Atlantic. It kind of then tries to kind of push its way in. We're kind of the UK and Ireland is on that kind of eastern flank of the high. We've still got kind of shower activity across the UK during the course of Saturday. Then as we go into the day on Saturday, we've got that push of Hurricane Fiona on the western flank of the Atlantic Basin. And in turn, we've got an area of low pressure that is very deep, in fact, just to the east of Greenland. What that's going to do is it's going to send a rather potent front southwards over the British Isles, kind of similar to what we're seeing at the moment, but it's going to be a stronger frontal system, and it's going to contain a lot colder air behind it. But it's actually the push of and warmth of Hurricane Fiona lifting north up the western side of the Atlantic Basin, east coast of North America, that's going to essentially help force Arctic air southwards right down the spine of the UK. Even London, 13, 14 degrees at best during Tuesday afternoon. So you kind of notice here that we've still got that area of high pressure to the west over the North Atlantic. We've got an area of low pressure, slightly weakening rather than being in the 960s millibars, it's kind of in the 980s in millibars, but still with that squeeze of pressure between a 1034 high and a 983 area of low pressure, not that far off the northeast coast of Scotland. We're going to see potentially gale force winds howling down from the north, and it will feel distinctly cold in that wind. So it will be quite the shot of cold air for the time of the year, closing days of September, of course. And then, as you can see here, as we'll play through the loop, that area of low pressure kind of drops south down over the North Sea and continuing to keep those winds coming in from a northerly direction. Plenty of shower activity, convective showers at that, with the cold air mass in place, incoming solar radiation. You get that kind of convective energy within the atmosphere producing those showers, and when you're in the showers, it will certainly allow the temperature to drop off. Then, as we go deeper into next week, we'll lose that northerly connection, and we start to see winds initially coming in from a westerly direction, so a slightly milder source of a warmer than normal North Atlantic, with wind and rain pushing across. So it's basically that area of high pressure that was originally in over the North Atlantic to the west of the UK. It's actually down near Iberia and the Azores. What will happen is that will open the door to the jet stream and weather systems coming over the top of that high into the UK. So we warm things up, and also we turn more unsettled, I think, as we move into the month of October. So plenty of weather over the next few days, that's for sure. Looking at the 850 temperatures, you can see here for the current setup, modestly fresh conditions across the north. We've got a little bit milder air, allowing temperatures 20-21 Celsius across southern portions of the UK. As we play through the weekend coming up, we've got cooler, fresher air coming in around the top of that area of high pressure that's centered over the North Atlantic. There's that warm tropical air getting lifted up the east coast of Canada, western portion of the Atlantic Basin. As that continues to push towards Greenland, then that area of low pressure deepens to the north, way north of the UK. What's going to happen is you follow that air mass coming down the western side of that area of low pressure, coming straight off eastern Greenland, if you notice here, and then eventually down over the British Isles here. Now, -10 at 850 isn't that far away from the north coast of Scotland, but we're well in that sub-freezing 850 air mass as we go through, particularly the Tuesday period. We could be seeing, like I say, temperatures struggling to get into the teens in the south, London, Bristol, Cardiff, even Birmingham, for example. Further north, up to Carlisle, Glasgow, Edinburgh, up to Inverness, temperatures could be maybe 10 to 12 Celsius. Couple of spots could see temperatures not really reaching 10 Celsius all day Tuesday. As we continue to play through the loop here, the air mass does moderate slightly. We've still got low pressure and control. We've still got winds coming in, but we're not drawing that air mass all the way from the Arctic. What's going to happen is we're going to start to see get kind of modestly colder coming around that area of low pressure centered over the southern portion of Scandinavia. So basically the air is coming in from Scandinavia as opposed to the Arctic region. So it's still fresh, still cool conditions, but not as cold as what we'll see Monday, Tuesday. Then it looks like as we go into the early portion of October, we've got milder air coming in. So we're going to start to see the temperatures coming up. Now, this is, of course, the operational GFS. One model run, we're going to see back and forth and whatnot, but you get the general idea about what we're going to see. So the cold shot, final days of September, then as we go into the month of October, we start to see milder air coming in from the southwest, but we've got areas of low pressure accompanying that milder air. So we're going to see wind and rain coming back into play once again here. So you get the overall idea what we can expect to see. Looking at a UK view and looking at the 850 temperatures, first of all, you can see that we've got the slightly milder air across England and Wales, a little bit fresher across the north. There's that push of cooler air at 850 coming down around the top of that area of high pressure. And then, of course, as we go towards Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we try to flirt with some milder air at 850, but then in comes that very cold air coming in all the way from the Arctic region. Then we'll go into that kind of slightly less cold air mass as we go into the latter half of next week here. And then eventually it looks as if we've got milder air. Even 13, 14 Celsius at 850 will actually be some very, very mild conditions actually into the early portion of October. But low pressure and weather systems look likely to dominate the pattern. Looking at the surface temperatures here, does it really show what the days are going to be like? We'll have a quick check of that. We'll flick through it. So we've got a couple of single figure temperatures here over the course of the weekend here, especially if you get clear skies, light winds. There's 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. We've got plenty of low single figures to speak about here. And then, of course, all things look cold towards the early portion of next week here. So this is 6 o'clock UTC. This is 1800. So that's quite interesting. 6 o'clock on Tuesday evening, afternoon. We've only got 5, 6, 7 degrees in terms of temperature here. So certainly will be a lot fresher as we go through the course of Tuesday of next week here. Looking finally at the snow prospects here. Let's have a quick look at the wind chill actually. That'll be quite interesting to see for the early portion of next week here. You can see, of course, the winds start to come down straight from the north, and you've got sub-zero wind chills here to speak about, especially across the north, but even across more southern portions of the country here, with that northerly wind, possible gale force winds in exposure. And certainly even during the course of the daytime, we could have low single figure wind chills, especially across more northern portions of the country here. Do we have cold frosty conditions at night? Let's have a quick check of that as well. This is through the course of the weekend, and then down comes that colder early next week, and it looks as if it has temperatures in low single figures, but I think in rural areas we could see minus temperatures in some places. Looking at snowfall finally, and you can see here as we skip through, is it indicating off the GFS? Geez, a door slammed up the stairs. I almost had a heart attack there. Is it going to show any snow off the GFS model? It isn't, which is quite interesting, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some snow over the tops of the mountains next week. So anyway, that's it for now. Colder air is on the way once again, and it's going to be interesting to see where the month of September winds up when all is said and done. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll be back hopefully again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.